Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so been thinking a lot about leverage as always. We talk about the Lakers, talking about the Brooklyn Nets as always. There's one thing that's starting to creep into my mind in regards to the Lakers in particular, the leverage that the Lakers may or may not have. Kyrie Irving I'm listening to people talk about it, and of course they're saying Kyrie Irving is not going to be traded until KD is traded. That's what's been understood to be the Brooklyn sentiment since this first became a thing. And so, because that is the thing, wouldn't it stand to reason that Kyrie Irving is worth more to the Nets with KD on the team than he is after the trade is made? Wouldn't it stand to reason that would be the case? Because right now, they're making everybody wait around, figure this out while they wait for the process of the price to come around to what they want it to be in terms of KD. Once that price is reached, they'll make the transaction. At that time, then they can go back to the drawing board with all that they've gotten in return for KD and proceed to make a case that they don't need to pay Kyrie Irving. Because the only reason why they have Kyrie on their tab right now is as a fail safe. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, my speculation, but the only reason why I think they got him there is a fail safe. If everything were to go completely wrong with KD, it keeps their options open as to say, okay, well, we can offer him a 2-year deal, KD. We can offer him a 3-year deal, KD. Can we negotiate up to where we get him a little more closer to where you want him to be in terms of what your intention was in getting your friend paid? And we could possibly keep you from bolting on us or sitting on us. Because as is right now, it's expected that he may sit out if they don't get a trade going. Well, they may not get a trade going. So what does that mean? At least if Kyrie's on tab, you can do a lot in regards to making yourself look better as a team if both of them are deciding to hold out at the same time, which is what you'd expect them to do, rather than only have KD there and you didn't trade away Kyrie. Now KD doesn't have any reason at all to align with you in any way. So a lot of speculation behind the scenes, a lot of speculation on the camera rather, has been about what the relationship is between KD and Kyrie. Now I can speculate just as much as anyone else, but at the end of the day, that will determine how best to view this situation if you're me and anybody else. And judging by what I'm seeing and what the tea leaves are showing me is that they're fine. The only issue that they have is that the Nets haven't paid Kyrie. That's the issue. And the explanation that people are looking for is why did KD why did KD ask out the day after Kyrie opted in? Well, I mean that aligns. That has always made sense. It's always made sense. KD opted in, or rather, KD asked out because Kyrie couldn't ask out. That's what makes sense about that situation. You know, he couldn't ask out because there was no other way for Kyrie to get that $36 million. If he were to test the free agency, he gets a fraction of that. So, in order for him to effectively do what's best for him while still managing to get off the team, he would have to opt in order to get his money. And then from there, the Nets would have to choose to trade him, which looks like it's imminent. However, KD, by asking for his trade request, has now put pressure on the Nets to then renegotiate with Kyrie, give him that $5 million, 5 years, et cetera, the 5-year deal that he's ultimately trying to go after. In other words, KD asking out was not necessarily triggered, in my opinion, by Kyrie opting in, but more so triggered by Kyrie not being offered a 5-year deal. That's what triggered it. See what I'm saying? It just depends on it depends on how you look at it, right? Kyrie opting out is the same thing as Kyrie not signing a 5-year deal on that day. That offer wasn't there to sign, so therefore, you see what I'm saying? So it's like That's what made that loose end tie up. I never had any questions about any of that. Now, that doesn't mean that my speculation is right. It just means that it always added up, so there's never any reason to question it. Now, if for some reason everybody's speculation who has the other idea about it is right, then KD's trying to get away from Kyrie, then it makes even less sense, in my opinion, for KD to opt to demand a trade at 4 years. That makes no sense. None. What you do is tell a Nets front office who already doesn't want Kyrie, because remember, it's widely understood that they don't want Kyrie, right? If we have that part in our mind that Kyrie is actually someone they would much rather get rid of, then it makes no sense for us to sit here and say that they're going to hold Kyrie against KD's wishes, meaning keep him there when KD wants him gone. That does not make any sense, right? That's never has made any sense. What did make sense was the theory that I already said about him trying to help Kyrie get paid. So if I'm continuing to pay attention to what makes sense, and I'm just going to ignore the fact that people are speculating about them not being friends and just assume that they're fine. Now, that doesn't mean that they expect to play basketball on the same team next year. And in order for them to effectively get what they need done, they have to accept that they probably won't be playing together next year unless it's on the Brooklyn Nets. That's an understanding that I'm sure the players have as they strategize the situation, knowing that it's a good chance that Kyrie doesn't get the 5 years that they're trying to lobby him getting. Now, my thing is, at the beginning of that, if they had this plan in place, they should never have had it in mind that KD would not go back to Brooklyn. Now, Kyrie, his exit from Brooklyn is imminent, which is why I'm not concerned about the reports of him coming out saying he wants to play for Brooklyn, whether KD is there or not. It still aligns and it still adds up to what it is we've been saying Kyrie has wanted the whole time, which is the 5 years. By all accounts, technically, yes, if they offer him a 5-year deal and KD's trade demand is still in place, Kyrie can still sign that deal and be happy with the Brooklyn Nets, while KD could technically still demand out and want to be traded. That is exactly what Kyrie's representation, or whoever it is that's speaking on behalf of Kyrie Irving, is trying to convey. The terms are still the same. I want to be a Net so long as you guys meet those terms. If you don't meet those terms, then we can't come to an agreement that I should be a Net. That is the point of view that Kyrie's representation is coming with. That is the contingency upon him playing for the Nets going forward. That's what I've always understood. That's never been a question in my mind, even throughout all the process of him coming to Los Angeles, hanging out, rumors of him buying his home out here, all of the conversations involving our situation. I think the Lakers are still very much in the forefront of his mind. I don't think any of this has changed the picture of what we're looking at here. Nothing. He wants his 5-year deal that locks him up and gives him a guaranteed time in the NBA between the ages of 30 and 35. Unless the Lakers are going to offer him that, then it's in his best interest to continue to lobby toward the Nets. What did we say in a few videos ago about this? Until you cross over the threshold of the team that you're on, you got to pretend like you're still on their side. That was one of the very things that I said. And it seems like that's what Kyrie's side is continuing to practice and understand. And it's just a strategy. It's good strategy. It's leaving the door open for the possibility of what KD is trying to do working. That's what everybody needs to understand. We're still in a place where KD's trade demand is the leverage that get Kyrie's the 5 years that he's looking for, and it's not a guarantee that the Nets don't go back to the drawing board and say, you know what, it's cheaper to keep him, let's give him the money, and let's ride out for the next 5 years, because at this point, that might actually be a better, sounder decision than any other options that the Nets have on the table in trade. So for the pundits who are saying, yes, I expect KD and Kyrie to go back to the Nets, yes, so long as the Nets and Joe, I can't think of the man's name, forgive me, but the owner of the Nets, get the check going for Kyrie. 5 years, absorbing an amount, no contingencies. That's what Kyrie's waiting for. That's what KD's waiting for. Listen to me. If the Nets and those guys come to the table With that deal in place, Kyrie will sign it. KD will rescind his trade request, and the Nets will go forward trying to win a championship with Ben Simmons. I promise you, ain't nothing else gonna happen. And the Lakers will be screwed trying to figure out what we're gonna do with Russell Westbrook. The Nets have that within their control right now. And that is why, forgive me for that, there's so much pressure on the Lakers to offer up that second pick from a lot of people over on the Lakers side of things, because they understand everything I just said. And that second pick will then likely trigger the Brooklyn Nets to give us Kyrie Irving, because the price would then be too much for them to turn down. So it's still within our control in theory that we could get Kyrie Irving right now. But I would challenge those who believe that to say, I think the Nets would then tell us no and hold up, and let's see what we can do with KD. In other words, even if we were to give them what they were asking for, I don't think they would be willing to pull the trigger now. For all I know, the Lakers have already offered them what they wanted, and they have agreed to it even. But I ain't going to do nothing until then. And if that's the case, a lot of the rumblings behind the scene with the Lakers then would technically not actually be taking place, because guys would not be tripping about Kyrie Irving because they know he'd be coming. But there's no guarantee that's not happening, because a lot of the news that we see is fluffed up just for us to be concerned with, not necessarily those behind the scenes. All of this is speculation, but what I can tell you is nothing has changed. As far as what I'm seeing in the tea leaves with Kyrie Irving, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. His coming out here for a good 3 weeks was real. As in, he was trying to get used to LA. He was trying to get locked in with the Laker organization, and I effectively think he did that. He established what he was trying to establish out here. Now it's back to strategy, because we still got to leave the door open for that 5 years, because if they're going to give him the 5 years, you got to take that. Now, what you know about the 5-year deal also is, just like KD's deal, once someone signs it, now we can start talking about where we move the contract. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's more of an understanding, a common knowledge type of understanding amongst athletes from this day forward, so to speak. If I sign a 4-year deal, it's no guarantee I'm going to spend even 3 years in that, 2 years in that. It's just getting that locked up. And it can be traded back and forth. As you see, Russell Westbrook's played on a different team every year this contract. As long as you get that contract signed, what happens after that ain't your business. You know what I mean? It is, but you got that money. It's set. I got them years. It's set. I don't know where I'm playing, but I'm going to be somewhere. I don't care if y'all can't stand me no more. You still got to pay me $47 million, and I am playing for somebody this season. And it's my choice to do so. That's what Kyrie's looking for. That's all. It's just a locked up, being able to say for certain that there's a future here without any negotiation necessary. So, yeah, man. Yeah. And with everything going on with people hopping in and out of their contracts and breaking contracts, I got a feeling that that is going to be addressed with collective bargaining, to say the least. Honoring contracts, what it means to honor a contract, the structure of deals and things of that nature is going to get ugly, I think, in trying to reestablish how best to get people to stay on board with the contracts that they sign. So what's the point of having contracts if nobody follows them? I think that's the elephant in the room. Does the NBA even need contracts anymore? Or is there another way to get these players on these teams, to be completely honest with you? And I think that's the equation that the NBA is going to have to figure out. As we've said a million times, the conversation between somebody's money and whether or not the team can build properly should not be a dual conversation. I should not be saying, okay, this guy should not get his salary because this team needs to be better. So I think the NBA going to figure out a way sometime over the next 20 years to remove that from the game. And if they do that, I think you'll see a lot of positive changes, in particular with the behavior of players wanting to stay in certain places. I think it may have something to do with how much money it is understood that they're making amongst everybody. So, yeah, just a little thought out there. I think that. Now, just moving forward, what I can say is, needless to say, there's nothing done yet. We're looking at the Celtics. We're looking at Utah, Donovan Mitchell and his price tag. You're looking at Patrick Beverley, since his name has been spoken of a lot over the last 24 hours in regards to where he wants to go. I heard rumors of him talking about the Lakers need to trade Westbrook for him. I don't know how accurate that is or not, but I'm definitely not up for that. No, that's not the price tag on Westbrook's contract. We have our eyes on what we need to do there. But I would like to bring Patrick in, as you guys already know. Would love to bring him in. Sharif O'Neal is going to be signing a Exhibit 10, I believe it is, with the Lakers. So congratulations to him. They wanted to make sure we know it was a 6-figure deal. I know exactly why they did that, Shaq. I know exactly why they did that. Shaq, like, my son getting the big money. Even if he ain't make the team, we gonna make sure they know it's 6 figures. Yeah, I know, Shaq. I know. He got 6 figures, bro. You guys are wealthy. Relax. But seriously, though, we're happy he's getting that opportunity. I think it's a good opportunity for the young fella because he showed us enough in the summer league to show that he's somebody who can really help a team. His athleticism pops off the screen. His interior offensive rebounding, particularly, is what I really like from him. And his motor's strong. And he means what he's doing. You know, his intent in what he's trying to accomplish. He spoke of not having the support from his dad that he was hoping to receive. But I think his dad's just concerned him taking the wrong path, you know. And so all of that has been discussed, but I think he's on the right track. I support what Sharif is doing. I think he's going to make it with the Lakers. I think we got a spot for him somewhere within the next 3-4 years. He continues to work on his body, work on his game. I think he'll find it. I think he'll find his way. So, yeah, man, I just want to shout him out. Happy he's a part of our organization. And, yeah, that's pretty much what I got, man. I don't know what to label this thing as always, but just wanted to tap in with everybody. Give y'all what I'm thinking. Hopefully we can get through this summertime fast enough, man. This has been one dragging long summer for me in regards to basketball because these teams aren't done. And usually at times like this, I have a lot to study about teams, but there's about half of the league that's just completely incomplete. And when you're talking about, you know, trying to anticipate what teams are going to be and how they're going to look and things of that nature, I can honestly tell you that we don't have any idea. We don't. If I were to break down each and every team, I'd probably have to do it all over again as soon as the trades are made. That's how significant I expect pieces to be moved around still. Keep an eye open because Young Bull still hasn't been signed. I've been telling y'all that. Colin Sexton is a real head scratcher for me that he hasn't had a team pick him up as of yet, but I think that's not because of a lack of suitors. I think he's specifically trying to go to a spot who's probably going to be opening up their spot when that trade is made. So San Antonio, Utah, Indiana, Lakers, pay attention for those teams in regards to Young Bull. I don't think we have the money necessarily, but a lot of things can happen once you see a big trade made. So, you know, keep your eyes open for Colin Sexton. I don't know if he's going back to Cleveland, and if he did go back to Cleveland, I don't think they have the role necessarily for his talent level. So I'm extremely intrigued by that particular piece. So that is what I have for you guys. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching.